Welcome. In this video, you're going to learn what is a virtual meeting. By the end of this video, you'll learn when virtual meetings really started. You'll know what worldwide event was the first to use virtual meeting. It's not what you think. You'll gain insight to the story behind Zoom, and I'll share a personal story about how I use virtual meetings to bring a group together that was all around the world 20 years ago. The virtual meeting started in the 1870s. That was the first time that the concept of a virtual meeting was created. Bell Labs, that's right, AT&T, the phone company, Bell Labs had the idea of transmitting images and audio, but they couldn't do it at that time. It took another 57 years. On April 27, 1927, Commerce Secretary Hoover transmitted for the first time from the White House to New York using Bell Labs' help. Then in the 1936 Olympics, George Schubert created the Gegensprechanlagen, or the visual telephone system, and it all ran on coaxial cable. This was the first time at Olympics where audio and visuals could be transmitted from different locations during the Olympics. Now fast forward to 1991, and Cambridge actually invented the first webcam. This is a much smaller camera meant to interface with a computer where you could use video on a computer. Right after that, a Cornell student wrote a program called See and this was the first program that was able to use a webcam and now start transmitting audio and video to anybody who wanted to communicate with each other. In 1999, Kyocera invented the first visual phone. It was a phone with a camera and a screen built in so that you could transmit audio and video through a phone. In 2010, the iPhone 4 was the first iPhone that came with FaceTime, which gave the iPhone the ability to transmit audio and video at the same time. In 2012, a gentleman named Eric Yuan was working at Cisco, which also owned WebEx at the time. But frustrated with the level of audio and video, he actually left Cisco and started his own company called Zoom. He said his goal was to be able to have an audio-video conference with his girlfriend who was a long distance away at the time, where it turned out that Zoom was the company during the pandemic as Zooming became synonymous with audio-visual communication. I hope you learn now that a virtual meeting is a way so that you can transmit audio and video at the same time. You can also share resources such as sharing a screen, which might have a document or a spreadsheet on it. Over 20 years ago, I started using video conferencing, and I ran a course called The Journey. It had 23 leaders from around the world, and we had an online discussion board as well as an early version of WebEx, the online video system. From that system, we were able to visually communicate with each other, even though everyone lived in different locations without having to fly everyone into one location. The video at that time, though, was only 128 pixels. And if you were lucky, it ran at 6 or 7 frames per second. Most modern audio and visual systems run at 24 frames per second or more so that you get the aspect of motion in the video. But at that time it was very jerky and people were at stop image, but it did allow us to connect with people all across the country. That's one of the key parts of a virtual meeting, is this ability for us to connect with each other, even though we might be far away. While I personally advocated for virtual meetings long ago, we had services to help virtual meetings be better. But people didn't buy that, not at least until March of 2020. So that's one of the keys now, is that virtual meetings are a very accepted way for us to meet now. Before, it might have been a little Star Trek or science fiction or farther away, but now it's an everyday common occurrence. Often you'll see people walking down the street in virtual meetings with somebody else. Other things have happened too inside of these virtual meetings. People have had online karaoke groups. People have done entire plays over virtual. Some people have written entire books over virtual meetings. These are all the new things that are emerging, and even more innovation will happen in the future. Virtual meetings have nowhere to go but up. They can grow in lots of different ways. Not only is the technology getting better, but now there are new ways that people might be able to meet. One of them is AR, otherwise known as augmented reality. Through a pair of glasses, you can look and see what's inside of the world and overlay something onto it. So for instance, I could be looking at this room and have a virtual meeting up here while I'm still able to walk around. In VR, people could be anywhere, but if they're in one virtual space, they have the ability to meet each other, to talk with each other, and give features that aren't available in the current VR platforms. things like spatial awareness. As I get closer to you, I can hear you more clearly. You might be able to hear somebody far away in a conversation and say, oh, that sounds interesting, maybe I should move over there. So AR and VR are different things that might happen in the virtual meeting space, and where virtual meetings will become more valuable, they might become more immersive and allow you to do more things without even having to leave your home. If this video has been helpful and you want to take virtual further, then I've got a gift for you. Normally I have a masterclass that people pay $100 or more for, but I'm gonna give it to you for free. When you complete the 6 ways to more engaging virtual meetings, you're gonna discover new ways to engage with your virtual audiences, have them engage with you and turn on their cameras without you even asking, and maybe even have people complain that you're too engaging because they paid attention to you instead of them wanting to multitask. Just click the link in the description and you'll get access to that class now so you can be even more engaging on virtual.